I'm currently geeking out over data agents and how I can use them in financial services in a way that makes them repeatable, accurate, and testable. So I want to explain how I went about doing that. Very first thing I had to do is to create some sort of data model to test against. That's what's here. There is a data model for each division within a retail financial services organization. I next took this data model and I used it to generate a Hasura supergraph, created relationships between elements within each subgraph in order to model information flows and identify compliance problems. And I made sure that there was very high quality metadata explaining every element in the supergraph. The next problem is I need to populate this with reasonable financial data. So I created a data generator that does just that. Now, having done all of that, my next problem is I have to create a sort of a sample problem. So I settle on this idea of fiduciary misconduct. And what this does is this, after generating all this data, it inserts specific records into the generated data. And the goal is for a data agent to sift through those millions of rows of information and hundreds of tables and find the specific issue and tell you about it and tell you what you should do about it. Now, having done all of that, I now need to explain the analysis to the data agent. It splits into two parts. There's a general explanation. So I tell the data agent, you're an expert in financial services data analysis. You're a Python programmer, and I give it some general guidance on the analysis that I want done. I then create a specific prompt that explains exactly how to look for this issue. It's in 4 steps. Each step is very simple, and it always says to store the information and then reuse it in the next step. This allows the data agent to overcome some of the problems with LLMs and to use its internal resources to keep information flowing between each of these steps. So let's see how this works. I'm going to take these 4 steps and I'm going to come over here to PromptQL, our data agent. I'm going to ask it to do these things and I'm going to talk you through what's going on. The very first thing we have to do is we have to look at the kinds of relationships that are within this system and figure out which ones are fiduciary relationships. So that's the first step. So now that it's executing on that, it's finished it. It found 7 relationships. And you can see here, for example, Guardian is a fiduciary, and that, of course, is correct. The next thing we have to do is we have to look for fiduciaries and principals who both bank at this institution because we're looking for money flows between them. It did that. It found 4 examples of that. Now that we have those, we can test those. And we're going to look for transactions, withdrawals from the principal's account, moving into the fiduciary's account that maybe are being obfuscated in some way. Maybe there are timing differences. Maybe small differences in amounts. Maybe split transactions. But we're just going to ask it to look for those kinds of variations and see if it can find them. And it did. So it found all of these 7 issues right here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what are the next steps. So it's going to look at these 7 issues, figure out, should we report this to the regulator? Are there other things that we should do based on bank policy or regulator policy? So we've done all of that. And you can see here, this is the final result. It takes each one. It tells you what the risk level is, if you should report it to the regulator, and exactly what are the next steps. To me, this is a phenomenal result. We used metadata and semantic analysis to do something that would have otherwise required a significant lift, movement of data. We did all this like in a fraction of the time that it would take to accomplish something like that. I hope you enjoy this. If you have questions, connect with me on LinkedIn.